The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Historically, mining has been a male-dominated industry, says Vicki Yehl of the BC Securities Commission. But it's changing, she continues, and it's clear that diversity is no longer just a social imperative. It is rapidly becoming a business advantage. That's true. The number of women in mining in BC is up from 12% of the workforce in 2015 to more than 20% in 2023. Yehl says women are stepping into roles once considered out of reach, and as they do, they bring fresh perspectives and innovative solutions to a sector under intense pressure. In 2015, mining represented $8.2 billion of the BC economy, and it has risen to more than $12.5 billion since. Add in the focus on critical minerals and the shortage of skilled workers, especially in engineering, geology, and technical roles, is clear, says Yehl. The opportunities available range from mining engineer, geotechnical engineering and mechanical engineering, exploration, surveying, environmental roles, health and safety, mine management, accounting, IT, legal, and regulatory, to name but a few. Yehl says mining touches every job category, and they are all open to women. I invited Vicki Yehl to join me for a conversation that matters about the critical need for women in mining, and especially in critical minerals mining. Vicki, maybe I'm over-exaggerating there when I say especially in critical minerals mining, because there's no real difference when we talk about critical minerals mining and mining in general. It was just a fun little play on words.
There isn't, that's true. But it is definitely top of mind. The public is way more aware of mining, exploration, and all of the things that are associated with it because of the need for critical minerals. So it is a play on words, and it isn't different than any other kind of mining or exploration, but it definitely is more aware today.
Well, let's talk about the fact that there is a tremendous need for more and more people, both men and women, to fill roles in mining as we see those sectors expanding. And then let's talk about the opportunities that are available to women. Like the industry is growing and growing and growing, and clearly the future looks pretty promising.
It does that, and you'd think it might be weird to have someone from the British Columbia Securities Commission here to talk about jobs and opportunities. But it's one of the areas where we do regulate, and it's to inspire confidence in some of these industries. We have industry-based rules. And so what we hear from the mining and exploration industry is that there is a shortage of professionals. So that's why we can speak about this. And when we see that, confidence in this industry raises money, we develop it, and we move forward. With the shortage of professionals, there's jobs that are open to everyone. They're good jobs. They're good paying jobs. They're all over BC. They're all over Canada. It's something where we have a lot of leadership growth, and it is critical, again, that we do provide these materials, and we need to have the people to do that. And we do see that the universities and colleges are graduating just as many women and men, just as many women and men are getting trained, but we don't see them entering the industry. And that's a bit of a problem for the industry and for the finding and the extracting of all of these critical metals, minerals, and other products that come from mining and exploration.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. Do we understand why there seems to be a bit of a reluctance to embrace a career in mining for women?
I'm not positive that we have statistics on that, but from my perspective, I don't think that the roles and the opportunities and the vast ones that you've mentioned that could be explored by anyone, again, a little bit of play of words there, exploring, but it seems that maybe these jobs and these opportunities aren't brought to the attention to young people quite often enough. And I don't think they're highlighted as these are good jobs. I think mining industry in the past particularly has been seen as less savory or perhaps even dirty. But I think these are great jobs, and they run the gamut of doing everything from protecting the environment to making discoveries. It is a bit of a treasure hunt always when we're looking for these mines and metals. And I don't think the opportunity to do this well, to do this to the standards that the public expects, is really communicated to young people when they're making choices, or highlighted to people when they're changing careers. If there's a new opportunity, this is not the first thing that they think about, and it is a driver here, particularly in British Columbia.
You know, as you're saying that, I realize I never considered anything to do with mining, and and I don't know why. It was just, it seemed like so remote to me that it wasn't even going to be a possibility. And yet when I take a look at the role that mining plays in our lives, what we're doing here right now, we couldn't do without the minerals that are necessary to make this entire studio work.
Everything in the studio comes from a product of mining, even to the tables that are sitting in front of us. And you say, well, they're wood. How does these come from a product of mining? They were cut down at some point. Those were probably using metal chainsaws or saws or things like that. You don't go a day without using products of metals and minerals. Your cell phone, everybody has glued into their hand. We don't have them on the tables or in our hands right at the moment, but those are entirely products of mining and minerals. Or some of the things, even glass, my eyeglasses, products of mining and minerals. Even if you have little contact lenses, those comes from mining and minerals. Or the extractions, some of those are petroleum products for our cousins in Alberta. Maybe not top of mind today with pipeline discussions, but pipelines, even those are built out of the materials that we have. We need all of these things if we want to go green, as many people are talking about, because some of the electrification, EVs, all of these are all products of metals and minerals.
You know, you talk about going green, and I know that there's a number of people who are sort of in the environmental, not services, but NGOs are wanting to protect the environment, and they may even actually have an adverse reaction to, oh no, you can't mine. But you have to mine. If you want to have a green economy, you can't do it without the mining and minerals. And thus we've recognized this, especially when we start to look at critical minerals.
Yeah, this is absolutely true, and that's where, you know, the BC Securities Commission does cross over into this space, because we want people to invest in the things that are going to help grow our economy. Mines and metals and minerals, exploration, mining of those products grows our economy. It's one of the resources that Canada, including British Columbia, you know, we export all of the metals and minerals products to the world. Canada is also known for another resource, which is, again, its people. So these are good job opportunities. They're here in British Columbia, they're across Canada, they're around the world. We export our geoscientists and our engineers and all of those technical roles and all of the other roles of mining. Huge hub here in Vancouver where we're sitting. This is sort of the mining capital of Canada, if you will. We have over 1,200 companies within a stone's throw of where we're sitting today. And these are just great opportunities, and it's great opportunities to work here. It's great opportunities to work all over the province and around the world.
So when we think about the role of mining, and there's a lot of people, I guess historically would go, well, I'm not going underground, and I'm not going to be wielding an axe or all that heavy lifting or the dirty kind of work. That's an outdated view of mining, isn't it?
Absolutely. The technology and innovation that's arisen in mining space and is continuing to do so, there's lots of things that are low impact. Exploration, for instance, to find these things, very low impact for the most part. There are some things, I'm not going to tell you everything's exactly without a footprint, but these are remote techniques, they're specialty techniques, they're geophysical techniques is what they're referred to, and they measure magnetic fields and electrical fields. And there's sensors that can now be used even from satellites that detect specific minerals, specific metals, and we can find these things. There's lots of new techniques to find, there's lots of new techniques to extract, there's lots of new techniques to reclaim the ground, and that's done in partnership with, as you mentioned earlier, NGOs. It's also done in partnership with Indigenous peoples. It's a work together activity. It's not excluding people, and there's different ways to go. There's lots of people who even work in the industry now that don't want to work underground. I'm a weirdo in that regard. I do like underground work. I have done that in the past as a geoscientist, but there's lots of people that don't like it. There's also open pit mines. There's also remote control mining, if you will. There are remote control vehicles and trucks. It's one of the innovations that people have been trying to implement for a number of years, and it's coming to us now, that you can literally sit in an office environment and you can control the vehicles or the trucks or the mechanized methods that extract these minerals. So there's new things coming. There's reduced risk. Mining also, if you were to talk to the Mining Association of British Columbia or the Association for Mineral Exploration of British Columbia, they would tell you that mining is the safest heavy industry. It's referred to as a heavy industry, but it's the safest of the heavy industries. Not to say that accidents don't happen, but there's lots of safety systems in play. There's lots of environmental protection in play. There's permitting, there's oversight. There's just lots of methods to go out and either explore for or extract metals and minerals.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. So if we talk about environmental protection, and maybe this is my own bias, but and I have seen quite a number of women who fill those roles in environmental monitoring. They set up environmental programs. They ensure compliance. And I think, without going out on a limb too far here, do they have a higher level of credibility around the work that they're doing, that there's a higher level of trust that they're doing the work that we want them to do to protect the environment?
That may actually be true. I would be like yourself. I don't want to go out too far on that limb, but it does seem to be one of the more technical areas of exploration and mining that women do tend to gravitate towards. And I do think they inspire trust, and that people are more confident and comfortable. Why that is, I'm not sure. I think it might just be because there's been some extraordinary examples of some of those environmental activists that happen to be women.
One of the other elements, of course, is that you're mining an ore, but the amount of data that is now required to establish what the resource is, to deal with compliance, and these are gender-neutral roles.
Oh yes, there's a lot of data scientists now, whether they be engineers, whether they be geologists, or whether they be other specialists that are needed. The amount of data, machine learning, AI, there's lots of innovation in those spaces as well that is definitely helping us to find new sources, new methods, new materials that we hadn't identified previously as deposits or resources, which may turn into ore. Ore is that thing that with economic value that you can extract. We have definitions for all of these things. But yeah, those are areas that are gender neutral. It doesn't matter who you are. There's great ways to look at all the information that we collect, all these new methods that are coming up of making data observations. Who knows where mining and every exploration are going to be in another 10 years. It could have different evolution over that time period because we're getting so much more so quickly, and there's lots of people needed to help interpret and help move these things forward.
Well, let's talk about one of the essential roles, especially if you're looking to establish new mine sites, and that is being a geologist. Let's say there's a young woman watching right now going, okay, you've convinced me that there's an opportunity here, but geology, how do I go about finding my way into that area or sector of the mining industry?
Geologist is a geologist or geoscientist. They're both they're licensed professionals. There's professional associations to call yourself one of these. You have to have an education and a background. It's a love of the outdoors. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I went to school, and I literally tripped over geology. Every little kid, regardless of where they are, what they are, picks up rocks at one point in in their young lives. It's an interest. It's not necessarily an office-based job. What I do now is an office-based job, but you can go to any of the colleges, any of the institutes of learning here in Vancouver. You can go to SFU, you can go to UBC, you can go to BCIT. There's programs to train you as a geoscientist or as a mining engineer. You can take either path. There's 3-4-year programs. There's 2-year programs to be a technician, and you're not sitting behind a desk all the time. You can use all of these innovation, but you're also out there. You could be walking in the mountains and picking up rock samples for analysis later. You could be taking water samples in creeks or rivers to make sure that there's no contamination, or that could lead you back to a source. If a stream's running over a mineral deposit, it may take some of those minerals with it. The opportunities, I can't even quantify them. It just became the best job because you were never doing the same thing every day. So you can apply for these programs. They encompass all the sciences. So there's a little bit of biology, there's a little bit of chemistry, there's a little bit of physics. Anything that you can think of, there's an application within becoming a geologist. I fell in love with it as soon as I took my very first geology course. And I don't think that anyone ever told me about it. I literally was reading and I'm like, I always thought rocks were interesting. And that's how I started down the road. And I think it was because I was given a tent as a kid and I slept out in the backyard at my parents' house and I was always moving the rocks out of the way. So it might have started that way. So if you like a diversity of challenges, if you like sort of finding clues and identifying different things, geology might be the thing for you.
The production of this program is made possible thanks to the support of the following and viewers like you. So one of the other elements that we look at in anybody's sort of career path these days is, do I become a specialist or do I sort of have a generalist perspective? And in mining, one of the advantages of a generalist perspective is you say, well, I'm not going to stay just in this one role throughout my entire career. I can grow into other opportunities. And mining does provide that kind of opportunity, does it not?
Yes, it does. It's absolutely a shifting goal. I work now as a regulator. I never contemplated that. I used to work as an exploration geologist, and literally I was out with a rock hammer in hand, one of the picks that you see in cartoons, and a backpack, and I would pick up samples all over Canada, all around the world. And then I got more into, well, are these properties that we should be looking at? Because there's a statistics out of the Colorado School of Mines that only in 1 in 10,000 prospects or ideas advances, and that you take more samples. So you can become a specialist in a material or a metal. One of the things most people think, you just look for gold. You can look for gold. You could become a specialist in gold exploration and gold mining. You could become a specialist in copper. Copper, of course, is needed for electrification. They call it Dr. Copper. That's what all of our wiring is made out of. And now we've had the onset of things like lithium, all the lithium-based batteries. One of the things that is up and coming are called rare earth elements. Those are all the specialty things that go into batteries and magnets and wind turbines and all of the advances that we're having. There's very few specialists in that area, but that's somewhere you could go. You could also go into exploration program design, so the very early stages. You could go into communication and negotiation. As a geologist, with communities, with Indigenous peoples, with across anyone. Geologists are really good at talking to themselves. They're not really good at communicating to other people about what they do. You could then also be a mine-based geologist. You could be working in an open pit or underground. You could do whatever you wanted to do. It's an ever-evolving space, and you could either be a generalist or a specialist. I specialized in a few things. I went on to doing business development for a large company. I went back to doing exploration. I took on some roles in some commodities that I knew nothing about. My bosses at the time, they said, well, we would like you to do this job. And I'm like, you know, I know nothing about this. And they're like, do it anyway. And it was a great opportunity to take my skills and apply them in a different space. So there's lots of opportunity to change or to specialize. And then you can change your navigation at any point. There's all kinds of roles to be done.
Well, and one of them, as you say, is in the regulatory environment, because mining doesn't happen without investment.
That's right.
And investment doesn't happen without trust. So you as a regulator, how important was it for you to be able to have this, your boots on the ground experience, to be able to then take a look at the reports and the filings that come in to the Securities Commission and say, yeah, this is accurate or not? Like, how has that informed your ability to be a regulator?
We're sort of in a middle ground. We're still part of the industry, of course, and the industry does a pretty good job at making these disclosures. But there's some guardrails on it, and that's what the regulatory role is. And there's several versions of a regulator, but ours is for investment. October that's just gone by has been the second highest month of raising money ever globally for mining space, and so all the companies that are in this space do this by making disclosure the same way. Having a background and making sure that the disclosure fits that way and that the companies are providing the information to the public who are making those investments, it does matter that you've had experience in the past. But you've got to think about it from a different perspective. You're bridging the gap between the industry and what they're doing. We're all passionate as geoscientists or engineers in this space. We're all passionate about what we do, and we've got to make sure that we consistently communicate that to the public who's going to give us the money and pay us to do what we do. And so it's understanding when an enthusiastic geologist or engineer wants to communicate, and they're making sure that the public understands, because the public isn't mining experts, and we don't think about mining as members of the public maybe as much as we should, because you can't go a day without it.
No, but for anybody who's looking at investing their money and looks at mining as being an opportunity to help to secure a nest egg for themselves,
Yep.
They want to have faith that the people who are regulating those different investment vehicles are competent and have their best interests at heart.
Exactly. And so having a background and understanding and having experience, we, as regulators, if you're a geoscientist or engineer, you are becoming more of a generalist because you're bridging that gap between the industry and the public. So it's important that you understand what the industry is trying to say and sometimes nudge them in the direction of, this is the way the public might understand that better. And so the rules about disclosure and about sharing that communication about mining are just intended so that the public gets the same information all the time and they can make their own judgments and know that a mining company is doing what they should be doing, or an exploration company is doing what they should be doing. And that's that communication, that's that bridge. So we're out here, the regulators are out here to make sure that the public can have that confidence by giving those guardrails on the information that the industry shares.
Well, a fascinating conversation that says that mining is so vital to our economic future and open to all. But with an invitation to women to say, please don't hesitate to come and join the sector.
It's a fabulous career. I recommend it to anyone, and I would like to see more of everyone. The industry is complaining that there is a shortage of professionals and these technical people, but it is something that everyone should consider, and women too. Don't shy away from it. It's a fabulous job opportunity. There's all kinds of things to do, and it's everywhere.
Thank you. Great conversation.